Hi, good afternoon. You're watching the Midday News on Rajya Sabha television, where we get you the biggest news stories that are developing at the top of one. I'm Ashwarya, and these are the headlines. Patiala House Court reserves order in the alleged assault case on the Delhi Chief Secretary. Delhi bureaucrat Anshu Prakash was allegedly assaulted during a meeting at Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's official residence on 19th of February. Ahead of next year's Lok Sabha elections, Election Commission calls an all-party meeting on Monday. Commission seeking views of all 7 registered national parties and 51 state political parties on measures to improve accuracy of electoral rolls. Subdued Onam celebrations in Kerala today as efforts continue on rebuilding the flood-battered state. Chief Minister announces 10,000 rupees to be transferred to the bank accounts of people in relief camps. Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh on alert as Met Office warns of very heavy rainfall today and tomorrow. US President Donald Trump says the Secretary of State won't go to North Korea. Criticizes Pyongyang's denuclearization progress. Also says that China not putting enough pressure on North Korea. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was to make his 4th visit to North Korea next week. And shuttler Saina Nehwal in the quarter-final of the Asian Games 2018 after beating her Indonesian opponent in the round of 16. India hockey team inches closer to semi-finals with a convincing 8-0 win over Japan in the Pool A match. Delhi's Patiala House Court this morning heard the case of alleged assault on Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash and has reserved the order for 2 p.m. The Council of the Aam Aadmi Party told the court that this was not a simple matter because the Chief Secretary is the complainant and the Chief Minister, that is Arvind Kejriwal, is the accused. He also accused the Delhi police of turning the case into a media trial. Meanwhile, the Delhi police alleged that AAP leaders were maligning its image and trying to influence the court proceedings. The Delhi police had earlier filed a charge sheet in the case linked to the case naming Arvind Kejriwal, his deputy Manish Sisodia, along with 11 other Aam Aadmi Party MLAs. Anshu Prakash was allegedly assaulted during a meeting at Arvind Kejriwal's official residence on 19th of February. And the police said that the Chief Minister was present when the alleged assault took place. The alleged assault had triggered a bitter tussle between the Delhi government and its bureaucrats. And the Election Commission has called an all-party meeting ahead of next year's Lok Sabha elections on Monday. The agenda for the meeting includes views of all political parties on measures to improve the accuracy, transparency and inclusivity of electoral rolls. The Election Commission will hold discussion on the measures taken by political parties to encourage enhanced representation of women within the organizational structure and in the candidate selection for contesting elections. The poll watchdog will also discuss issues related to expenditure ceiling for the Legislative Council elections and limiting political party expenditure. Also on the agenda will be the banning of political advertisements in print media 48 hours before the day of polling on the lines of the restriction on electronic media. All 7 registered national parties and 51 state political parties have been invited to participate in this meeting. And now let's get you all the updates from a flood-ravaged Kerala. The nature's fury in Kerala has cast a shadow on Onam celebration in the state today. In the wake of massive floods that have hit Kerala over the last fortnight, the spirit of the Malayali community continues to be subdued. Heavy rains and unprecedented floods in Kerala this monsoon season have claimed 417 lives, while 36 people are still missing. At least 7,000 houses have been destroyed in the floods and another 50,000 have been partially damaged, and a total of 8.69 lakh people are still sheltered in close to 2,800 relief centers in the state. Now, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan on Friday asked the people impacted by the floods to submit the details of the losses that they have suffered by logging on to the Kerala government website and provide the details. He also announced that 10,000 rupees would be transferred into the bank account of every person in the relief centres. Meanwhile, Union Health Ministry has announced that it will be allocating an additional grant of 18.71 crore rupees under the National Rural Health Mission towards the flood relief efforts in Kerala. The ministry previously had sent to Kerala a number of medications, including antibiotics, and was coordinating with other states to provide medicines at the relief camps. Now, with some people returning homes as flood waters recede but lack still in relief camps, the Kerala government is now taking up the task of cleaning up after the worst disaster in the state in a century and rehabilitating the affected. My colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us from Trivandrum. A very good afternoon, Akhilesh. It is Onam today, but in, of course, the wake of the floods that have hit the state. Tell us about the subdued celebrations that are going on there.
Yeah, actually, Astoria, there is hardly any enthusiasm for Onam, not by any pressure, but everyone is telling, I talked to anyone, everyone is telling we can't celebrate in this point of time, and almost the major areas of our population is affected by flood. So it is a human tragedy, and human tragedy has to be shown solidarity with other people. So that's why they are not. We cannot talk about Onam in that way. The Onam is there symbolically. Some people are doing they make some graffiti of flowers and all, something like that. But okay, Onam just will come. They will just do some formalities, whatever they do at home, and that's all. But other than that, from 28 August, the schools has to be open because this was a holiday time, and after that Onam holiday, schools has to be open. But in most of the schools and colleges also, relief camps are running. So that is now coming as a challenge to the government that what they have to do. So what I am getting, that government is telling that all the community halls and all those barat halls, whatever is there for commercial use, auditoriums, everyone will be turned into relief camps. And maybe by that time also houses are getting ready so that they can go to their houses. So up till now, almost 33%. Yesterday night it was 31%. So almost 33% you can tell that people have gone back to the houses are ready. So they are going back and all. So it will take, I think, almost 10 days that all the houses who had suffered because of this flood, not destroyed, they will be ready for in livable condition. But most of the challenge will come in the rural areas where houses are, many of the houses are still submerged and they have damage because of their low quality of structure. So that is coming to be a challenge, that how government will tackle that situation. So just as an interim relief, they are transferring 10,000 rupees per person who have come to the relief camps. Even live in the relief camp more days, okay, it's okay. If they want to go back, it's okay. But government is cautioning them not to just go and start living in their house. So government is also not in a hurry that yes, you should leave the relief camp and you should go. They are telling that you go first day, see the house, clean it, then again come back, let the house become some normal, dampness should go, the snakes and whatever insects are there, because the water has come from the Western Ghat long, and many dangerous insects also might have flown from the river. Some places python snakes have also been found. So government is taking extra care and cautioning people not to rush. So, that the communities are coming up, young people about whom we used to think they are just...
Right, Akhilesh. Thank you so much for all those updates there. Meanwhile, the President, Vice President and the Prime Minister have greeted the people on the occasion of Onam. In a message, President Ramnath Kovind said, "May this festival bring peace and happiness to the people, in particular to all those in Kerala who are recovering in the aftermath of the recent floods and are gradually beginning to rebuild their lives with their characteristic grit and resilience." Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu also extended his greetings and good wishes to the people on the occasion of Onam. In a tweet, Vice President Naidu said that may the festival usher in peace, prosperity and happiness in the country. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted, "May this Onam give a further strength to the people of Kerala to overcome the adversaries that they have been facing for the past few days. The entire nation stands shoulder to shoulder with Kerala and prays for the happiness as well as prosperity of its citizens." And earlier, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan had also urged the people to celebrate the festival by helping those who are suffering due to the ravaging floods, which he called the worst disaster in the state's history. And now let's take a look at the weather updates from other states. Incessant rainfalls has affected normal life in Uttarakhand. The state government has asked authorities in all the districts to be extra vigilant and has to ask the people living in the embankment areas of rivers to go to safer places. Roads and bridges have been damaged at several places due to rainfall there. Meanwhile, in the state of Himachal Pradesh, the Mandi-Manali highway has been blocked due to landslides. Now, several roads as well as water and power supply have been disrupted. The state government has also requested the centre for at least 200 crore rupees as financial aid to meet the huge losses caused by the recent floods in the state. The Chief Minister of the state, Jairam Thakur, has said that at least 35 people have been killed during the monsoon rains in the state this year. Meanwhile, in Jammu and Kashmir, the 270-kilometre Jammu-Srinagar National Highway has also been closed today as overnight rains triggered a landslide in Ramban district. It is the only all-weather road linking Kashmir with the rest of the country. And in Uttar Pradesh, 5 people have been killed in rain-related incidents in the past 24 hours in various districts of the state. As per officials, 2 persons died in Allahabad, 1 person each in Azamgarh, Pratapgarh and in Lucknow. 3 people have also been injured. Meanwhile, in the state of Assam, 3 persons were killed in landslides following torrential rain since Thursday night. The district administration has announced an ex gratia of 4 lakh rupees to the next of the kin of those killed. News from flood-hit Karnataka now, where Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has assured all help from the Defence Ministry for the flood and landslide-ravaged parts of Kodagu district. Speaking to media persons in Madikeri on Friday, she said that Indian Defence Forces will extend all assistance in relief measures, including those concerning infrastructure development. Sitharaman visited a few relief camps and she spoke to the people taking refuge there. She said that once the Central Assessment Team evaluates the loss, the government will decide about the package. More than 17 people have lost life in this state till now due to floods.
Whether it's the national highway or the state highway or the village connectivity roads, we have to be very careful of how we are going to restore it. I will definitely meet up with Nitin Gadkari on the roads. I will speak to Home Minister because he takes care of the National Disaster Relief Funding. And obviously, certainly go back to the Prime Minister to give him a report of what I've seen here and what I've heard from all of you.
Let's get to some other news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the BIMSTEC summit in Nepal next week. Countering terrorism, enhancing regional connectivity and boosting trade will be the key focus areas of the 7-nation international organization of South Asia and Southeast Asia. The leaders at the summit are also likely to deliberate on having a tri-services military exercise among the member nations, besides exchanging views on a free trade agreement. BIMSTEC member nations include Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bhutan and Nepal. Prime Minister Modi is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with several leaders on the sidelines of the summit.
BIMSTEC, as a regional grouping, the importance of it is growing both in terms of economic and strategic terms. It is home to 1.6 billion people, so nearly 22% of the world's population. It has a combined GDP of $2.8 trillion. It brings together like-minded countries with a common commitment to peace, prosperity, and development of its people. With a shared heritage, shared values, and shared ways of life, it is a natural platform to build a common future.
In midday news, time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news on the other side. Stay tuned.
First up, we look at the new agri-export policy.
It is a very good effort from the government to make a policy which would be approved by the cabinet, so that the ministries will not have an opportunity to bring changes, frequent changes from time to time.
We have the data. It is not that data is a problem, both local and global. So based on that, what is more important is that we should have a regular policy.
Now we look at the topic of Permanent Commission for Women in the Armed Forces.
This was a very genuine demand. Government has accepted it. It is a step in the right direction. I am sure in future many more good things will happen for lady officers.
Division between combat and non-combat is somewhat artificial. In each arm, yes, there is a different environment in which you work. But in the end, the army has to fight as an organic whole.
Welcome back after the break. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called upon doctors to be trained to be more sensitive to the sufferings of patients. Addressing the first convocation ceremony of AIIMS Bhubaneswar this morning, Vice President Naidu emphasized the importance of medical ethics and said that doctors must be trained to be more sensitive to the sufferings of patients and their families and provide a healing touch with effective communication. The Vice President also lauded the contributions of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who had laid the foundation for the institution. The Vice President added that schemes such as the Ayushman Bharat Yojana or the National Health Protection Scheme will be game changer in the terms of accessing healthcare services in India. He asked the doctors to give their best to make these schemes a success so that no needy person is denied medical treatment.
And I also would like to suggest to the medical fraternity and also to the minister, I'm happy both the central minister and state minister are here. You make it mandatory. Any medical professional who want to get the first promotion must also work minimum 3 years in a rural area. Aisa niyam banana chahiye. India is incomplete without Bharat. India lives in villages. So we have to take care of them also. That is very much important. Keep that in mind. The highest priority has to be accorded to strengthening primary health care and tertiary. We need to increase the number of doctors available at healthcare centers residing in rural areas. It should be mandatory for young doctors to serve at least 1 or 2 years in the rural areas and also complete 3 years before getting promotion. Ensuring uniform distribution of healthcare and services remains one of the biggest challenges to moving to regional, cultural, socio-economic diversity in India. The lopsided growth of health infrastructure with the rural areas lagging behind their urban counterparts has to be ended. We need to bridge the gap between urban and rural areas in providing state-of-the-art healthcare services, and this is where the private sector can also play an important proactive role. I would like to emphasize the importance of medical ethics. In modern, fast-paced world, doctors are treating patients in a business-like and matter-of-fact fashion with elements like compassion and empathy missing in certain areas. We must train new generation of doctors to be more sensitive to the sufferings of the patients and their families and provide the healing touch with effective communication. There can be no greater service than restoring fellow human beings to good health. Our people used to say,
under the Ayushman Bharat, comprehensive primary care and effective referral linkages and National Health Protection Mission for affording financial protection to the poor for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization are twin pillars envisioned to take our country on the path of universal health coverage. These two far-reaching initiatives under Ayushman Bharat will build a new India in 2022 to ensure enhanced productivity, well-being and avoid wage loss and impoverishment.
On to some other news now. Union Minister Piyush Goyal has accused the previous UPA regime of causing a massive rise in the NPAs by pressurizing the banks to give out huge loans. Addressing the India Banking and Conclave in New Delhi, Goel said that the NDA government believes in the policy of not interfering in the functioning of banks.
Union Minister Piyush Goel has said that banks are a medium to speed up economic development of the country. Addressing the India banking conclave in New Delhi, Goel said that the government inherited the banking crisis from the previous UPA government in 2014. He said during the UPA regime, banks were pressured to give out huge loans.
Through the decade 2004 to 14, while most other banks faltered in their lending practices, faltered in their ability to recognize the problems that they were facing, did not truly reflect the stress on their balance sheet in the books of account, but continued to show huge profits, continued to expand their credit book almost by 3 times.
Goel said that a few state-run and private sector banks did not follow rules during demonetization and carried out activities that tainted their image. He expressed hope that banks will bring about change in their approach, training and recruitment process.
Regulation and autonomy both are being brought in to an extent where a private bank, a foreign bank and a public sector bank will all be able to work on an equal footing with the same level of autonomy.
Former Finance Minister Piyush Goel also said that the government believes in the policy of not interfering in the functioning of banks. With inputs from Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in a major effort to improve the emergency medical support to soldiers who've been posted in high-altitude areas, especially in Siachen, the Defence Ministry said that ISRO, or the Indian Space Research Organisation, signed an agreement to set up telemedicine nodes in critical planes across the country. The joint initiative will transform the reach of telemedicine to soldiers, army men and sailors in the remote and isolated posts which are cut off for several months due to extreme weather conditions. As part of this, in addition to a functioning node on the Siachen Glacier, 4 more nodes will be established to enable medical consultation between the soldiers deployed on the glacier and the medical teams. ISRO will establish 53 more nodes in the first phase, over and above the existing 20 in various establishments of the Army, Navy and Air Force across the country. And India could see its first flight fueled by biofuel on Monday. Domestic carrier SpiceJet will test a plane from Dehradun to Delhi that will use biofuel. The aircraft is likely to be a turboprop which will carry officials from the DGCA and other aviation bodies on board to ascertain the feasibility of a biofuel-driven aircraft. The aim of the test is to make air travel economical and also bring some respite to the airlines that have been reeling under high fuel prices through the use of alternate fuel. Biofuel is produced from renewable resources like vegetable oils, recycled grease and animal fat, and it can serve as an alternative in place of fossil fuels. And if the test on Monday brings success, India could join a select few countries such as the US and Australia who have biofuel-operated commercial aircrafts. Prasar Bharati has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Myanmar media of Myanmar. The agreement will ensure cooperation and collaboration in various fields of broadcasting. It also envisions a content sharing over a wide range of genres, including culture, entertainment, education, science, news and sports. The MOU is expected to give a further boost to India and Myanmar relations.
Instance है जहां हमने एक प्राइवेट मीडिया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ MOU साइन किया है और मिज़िमा ग्रुप म्यांमार का एक स्टार्टअप मीडिया कंपनी है. इसके जो फाउंडर्स हैं यंग है और इनका भारत देश के साथ बहुत ही गहरा रिश्ता है. तो ये एक तरह से ये MOU इज़ अ बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक इन इंडिया म्यांमार रिलेशन. इट्स एन इन्वेस्टमेंट फॉर द फ्यूचर और जो PM मोदी का एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी है ये उसको आगे बढ़ाता है.
A top international focus now. US President Donald Trump has called off US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's visit to North Korea. In a series of tweets, Donald Trump said that North Korea has made insufficient progress in dismantling its nuclear program. Trump also targeted China for not putting enough pressure on North Korea on this issue due to trade tensions with the U.S. Remember, Pompeo was scheduled to visit North Korea next week, and Donald Trump's announcement come days after the UN's nuclear watchdog, IAEA, said that North Korea is continuing with its nuclear program. Trump had said that North Korea was no longer a nuclear threat after their historic summit in the month of June, but negotiations between both the nations have stalled since then. And the U.S. has also cancelled more than $200 million in aid for the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. The decision was made at the direction of President Donald Trump after a review of the aid programs to the Palestinian territories. And according to the White House officials, the funding will now address high-priority projects elsewhere. Relations between the U.S. and the Palestinian Authority took a nosedive after U.S. President Donald Trump announced the decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. In January, U.S. made drastic cuts to its contribution to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees as well. The decision to cut Palestinian funding comes amid a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which has seen a surge of violence since Palestinian protests began in the month of March, in which 171 Palestinians have been killed so far. And now let's get you all the news from the ongoing Asian Games. In badminton, Saina Nehwal cruised to another victory and she entered the quarter-final of the women's singles event. This morning, she defeated her Indonesian opponent in the round of 16. Meanwhile, Indian sprinters Muhammad Anas and Arokya Rajiv qualified for the men's 400 meters semi-finals on day 7 of the games today. Meanwhile, high jumper Chetan Subrahmanya also qualified for the men's high jump final. He finished 5th in Group B with a jump of 2.15. However, it was not a good day for the shooters as Anish Banwala and Shivam Shukla failed to qualify for the men's 25 meters rapid fire pistol event as they finished 9th and 11th respectively. And early on Friday, in hockey, reigning champions India continued with their winning streak at the Asian Games as the men's team notched up a spirited 2-0 victory against Japan in their third Pool A match. And with the 7 medals won on the 6th day of the Asian Games, India is placed 9th in the medals tally so far with 25 medals that include 6 gold, 5 silver, and 14 bronze medals, while China, with 146 medals, including 70 gold, tops the medals tally, followed by Japan with 107 medals, including 33 golds, and South Korea is placed 3rd in the medals tally with 79 medals, including 23 golds. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching.